All right, today we are diving deep into one of the most epic stories ever told. It's a powerful tale of faith versus absolute tyranny, the incredible confrontation between the Prophet Musa and the mighty pharaohs of Egypt. So, let's set the scene. We're going back about 3,500 years to ancient Egypt. Now, this land was under the absolute iron fist of its ruler, a man known as Pharaoh. That was the title for the king back then. And this guy, well, he was so consumed by his own power that he literally declared himself a god. He enslaved an entire people, the Bani Israel, you might know them as the Israelites, and just subjected them to unimaginable cruelty. But then, one night, Pharaoh's whole world gets shaken to its core. He has this absolutely terrifying dream. He sees a fire, right? It's sweeping in from Jerusalem, and it's burning his entire kingdom, his people, everything. But here's the crazy part. It miraculously spares the slaves, the Bani Israel. It doesn't touch them. You can imagine, this vision planted a seed of pure terror in his heart. And this one dream, it becomes a turning point. It sparks a prophecy that's about to set off a chain reaction of brutal, world-changing events. So what does he do? He panics. He calls in all his top advisors, his magicians, his soothsayers, the whole lot. And their interpretation? It was even worse than he imagined. They told him a boy will be born among the Bani Israel, and that boy is destined to destroy you and your entire kingdom. Talk about a chilling prediction. Pharaoh's reaction, it's as swift as it is brutal. He's completely driven by paranoia now. He issues this unbelievably cruel decree. He commands his army to hunt down and kill every single newborn boy among the Bani Israel. I mean, think about that. It was a state-sanctioned slaughter, all because one man was terrified of losing his grip on power. But in the middle of all this horror, a baby boy named Moosa is born. Yep, the very same one you probably know as Moses. His mother is of course terrified, but then she receives a divine message, an inspiration. A voice tells her, place him in the river and don't be afraid. And it's not just a message of safety, it's a promise that he'll be returned to her and that he's destined to become a prophet. And what happens next is it's almost too incredible to believe. The basket, against all odds, floats straight to Pharaoh's palace. And who finds it? Not a soldier, not a guard, but Pharaoh's own wife, Asya. She's immediately taken with the baby. And then, get this for a twist, the baby won't take milk from any of the wet nurses. That's when his sister, who is watching from a distance, cleverly suggests another woman, his own mother. So Musa is reunited with his mom, who now gets paid by the very man trying to kill her son to nurse him in the safety of the palace. Just wow. So against all odds, Musa grows up not as a slave, but as a prince of Egypt. But his story is far from over. His life is about to take a massive turn, one that will lead him from the luxury of the palace to the desolation of exile and finally to his divine calling. Okay, so Musa's now a young man, and he knows where he really comes from. One day, he sees an Egyptian soldier just mercilessly beating one of his people, a man from Bani Israel. Musa steps in to stop it. Now, he was an incredibly strong guy, and with a single punch, he accidentally kills the soldier. He didn't mean to, but it happened. The very next day, the secret's out, and Pharaoh, the man who was basically his adoptive father, orders his execution. A sympathizer in the court warns him just in time, and Musa has no choice but to flee Egypt, alone and with nothing. Now a fugitive, Musa travels a long, long way until he gets to a place called Madyan. And it's there that one simple act of kindness, helping the daughters of the Prophet Shuaib at a well, completely changes his life. He's given a home, a wife, and a job. He spends the next 10 years as a shepherd. You could say this was his time in the wilderness, a quiet decade of growth that was getting him ready for the massive task that was coming. So after those 10 years are up, Musa is traveling with his family near Mount Tur, and he sees something strange. A bush on fire, but it's not burning up. As he gets closer, this powerful voice speaks to him from the bush. This is a moment that literally changes the course of human history. God speaks directly to Musa, saying, "O Musa, I am Allah, the Lord of the worlds. I have chosen you."
Now, you can't just walk up to a tyrant and say, "God sent me." So to prove his mission was real, Musa is given two incredible signs. First, his ordinary shepherd's staff. When he throws it on the ground, it turns into a real live serpent. Second, when he puts his hand inside his cloak and pulls it out, it shines with this brilliant, blinding white light. These miracles were going to be his credentials, his proof for the showdown that was about to happen.
And this brings us to the ultimate showdown. Armed with these divine miracles, Musa goes back to Egypt. He's about to challenge the most powerful man on the planet in a contest of, well, miracles versus magic.
So Musa, along with his brother Harun, walks right back into Pharaoh's court. Imagine the nerve. They deliver the message, plain and simple, "We're messengers from God. Let the Bani Israel go." Pharaoh just looks at him. This man he raised as a son, now challenging his very authority. He just scoffs. He brings up Musa's past, taunts him, and calls him a complete madman.
Pharaoh's convinced this is all just some cheap trick, some kind of magic. So he sets up a huge public showdown. It's the day of a big festival, and he brings in the best magicians in all of Egypt. They throw down their ropes and their staffs, and bam! The whole ground looks like it's covered in a writhing mass of snakes. It was a powerful illusion, and the crowd goes wild. But then, Musa calmly throws down his one staff. It transforms into a giant real serpent, and it swallows every single one of their fake snakes.
And the magicians, they're the experts, right? They know magic when they see it. And they knew instantly this wasn't it. This wasn't a trick. This was real divine power. And in one of the most stunning moments in the story, they all just fall to their knees, right there in front of everyone, and declare, "We believe in the Lord of Musa and Harun." You can just imagine how enraged Pharaoh must have been.
But even seeing his own experts convert on the spot, it's still not enough for Pharaoh. His pride, his arrogance, it's just too great, and his defiance leads us straight into the final act, the Great Escape, and the ultimate judgment at what we'll call the Sea of Reckoning.
So even after that public humiliation, Pharaoh just digs in his heels. He refuses to give in. Over the next few years, Egypt gets hit with a whole series of plagues, frogs, locusts, the whole deal. Each one was meant as a warning, but every single time, Pharaoh's heart just got harder. Finally, God gives the command to Musa. The time for warnings is up. Gather your people and get them out of Egypt tonight.
And so the great exodus begins. But when Pharaoh wakes up and finds them gone, he is furious. He gathers his entire army and charges after them. Before long, the Bani Israel are trapped. Truly trapped. Pharaoh's massive army is bearing down on them from behind, and in front of them, the vast, endless Red Sea. There's nowhere to go. The people are panicking. What on earth could they do? Right at that moment of total despair, Musa gets another command from God. Strike the sea with your staff. He does. And then, the greatest miracle yet. The sea literally splits in two, creating a dry path right through the middle. The Bani Israel scramble across to safety. Pharaoh, he sees the path, and blinded by his own rage, he orders his army to follow them right in. But the moment the last of Musa's people are safe on the other side, and Pharaoh's entire army is trapped in the seabed, the walls of water come crashing down, and every last one of them is drowned. And in those final, terrifying moments, as the water is closing in, Pharaoh has this flash of clarity. He screams out, "I believe in the God of the Bani Israel." But the divine reply he gets makes a powerful point. Now? You believe now? After a whole lifetime of rebellion and spreading corruption? It was too little, too late. His last-minute conversion was rejected. But then, something very specific is decreed. God declares that Pharaoh's body won't be lost to the sea. No, it's going to be preserved. Why? To serve as a physical, tangible sign for all the generations to come. A permanent warning against the kind of tyranny and arrogance that he represented. And that brings us to a pretty mind-blowing final thought. Today, right now, in a museum in Cairo, you can see the preserved body of a pharaoh that many scholars believe is that very same Pharaoh. It's like a physical piece of evidence for a story that's 3,500 years old. And seeing that makes you have to ask, right? What really is the nature of power? And what lessons from this unbelievable story of miracles, of tyranny, of faith, what lessons still ring true for us today?